Dedicated, determined, dependable. This is News 10 ABC.
Yep, we both went at the same time.
We're trying to conserve on energy. All right, storm system. Speaking of energy,
Yes.
this thing is rapidly intensifying now, just southeast of New York City. We're getting, Tim, a lot of reports of strong winds moving in. No doubt about that. Winds now in the hill towns gusting 40, 45 miles per hour.
Took the satellite imagery off. That week we'd see the full composite imagery with the radar. And I know Cap's expressing a lot of concern about how things are lightening up. You can see that one little patch, Columbia County, Dutchess County.
Yeah, it looks like there's some drier air kind of working in under this storm, kind of like this. You don't see it too well on this composite radar.
Mid-level punch with the upper level feature being back here.
Heading up for the Cape Cod Canal. Let me go over to the local radar so you guys get a better feel on what's happening based on Doppler radar here in Albany. And we'll highlight and mention some of the snowfall reports that we're getting. Tim, anything new coming in?
Doing a quick scan, and not right now.
Well, we did get a report. Athens, 20 inches of snow. Cairo, 20. 22 out in the Cherry Valley, which is out here. Sharon Springs, 26 inches. So right now through here, over 20 inches, extending down towards Jefferson, Gilboa, parts of western Greene County, close to 20 or a little bit more than 20 inches of snow.
And probably the heaviest part of the storm right now, western Delaware, western Otsego, Herkimer County, on into Hamilton County and northern portions of Warren County.
Right, Hamilton County playing catch-up. You had a slow start, but now you're getting some pretty decent snow. Here's that dry slot. Now, the green is a light to moderate snow, and the darker green is what we'd consider the heavy 1 inch or more per hour. Now this is probably quarter-inch snow per hour, maybe a half-inch at most. So we'll put the radar into motion just to give you an idea of how that is moving and how, who's going to be affected by that dry slot. Notice how it's kind of rotating up like this. Now there's a chance that this may hook up and around. These big superstorms sometimes do that. If that happens, then this is probably going to follow suit and rotate around.
Exactly, which means you'll get back into the snow mid-Hudson Valley, Berkshire, southern Vermont.
It won't be as heavy as what we went through early this afternoon, but you can still see a pretty decent band coming up through the Catskills down towards Kingston. So there'll be bursts of snow, half-inch or an inch per hour for the rest of the afternoon.
But we kind of expected that, knowing that the worst part snowfall-wise would be between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., and then the main focus of the wind would be, the storm that is, would be the wind this afternoon through tonight.
Right, the winds are going to pick up, and let's advance the futurecast. This is 5 o'clock tonight. Now, you look at this and you say, well, it's covered in blue, but this is not the intense snow that we had earlier. So a lighter snow, a few bursts of moderate snow. Notice to the west, kind of interesting. If that band gets stuck to the west, this is where we might end up getting even the higher totals.
Well, instead of just clicking the button, I'll drag across the timeline.
Okay. So again, here's the timeline at the top. Notice a little bit.
Working back through.
That's at 6 o'clock tonight. Then it continues to lift. Again, the circulation around the storm is like this. And then eventually we're going to start to get some drier air in. And then tomorrow, watch what happens when we get to 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Notice this area is starting to develop here. Tim and I talk about this a lot of times behind these big storms. You get what we call the upslope snow.
Yep.
The winds blow into these mountain areas, Green Mountains, Berkshires, Taconic Hills, and squeezes out every little bit of moisture.
Which we've seen in reverse during the course of the morning into the afternoon.
Today it's been this way.
Yep. Tomorrow that way.
Tonight and tomorrow it goes more to the northwest, and that will enhance the snow in that direction. All right, before we throw it out to Greg, and let me just give you an idea on the total snowfall accumulation.
Got an updated report out of Rotterdam, 16.5 inches of snow.
All right, and based on the data, we could get another 4 to 5 inches of snow on top of what we're, if you're looking for additional snow, I would say 4 or 5 inches on top of what you have now, and then a little bit of light snow, dribs and drabs during the day Wednesday with another couple of inches. So 18 to 24 still looks good. 14 to 18 for the Adirondacks. Tim and I are going to probably have to shift this line
a little bit more
to the west, because there's no doubt this is drifting a little bit more to the west than it looked like earlier.
Same thing with this area in here.
Yeah, we're going to probably update this for the next, based on the reports we're getting. And of course, this area will play catch up tonight and tomorrow. Yeah. It should snow pretty good. All right, let's check in. The News 10 mobile storm tracker meteorologist Greg Pollock.
He's out in Niskayuna, and they have seen, I believe, over a foot of snow.
Yeah, we had, I think at last check, we had 18 inches of snow in Niskayuna.
Doing pretty good. Greg, how is everything out in eastern Schenectady County?
Yeah, I mean, it's still snowing pretty steadily here. We're talking about, I would say, moderate snow at the current hour. The roads, I mean, they're still bad, but the crews have been doing such a great job clearing the roads. We're on Union Street. We're actually now in Schenectady, but certainly is still treacherous to drive. We have the cars going at least half the speed limit outside. But as I said before, the plows have been coming up and down. If you look to the left right now, you can see a plow coming on through. And yeah, and it's doing a really good job of clearing the roads. Some roads have been better than others. Some roads have been better cleared than others. But in general, the crews are doing a very good job. And you know what the thing is that, you know, the snow has let up, but the visibilities are still reduced to less than a quarter of a mile. This really is a true blizzard. And with those wind gusts upwards of 35, 40 miles per hour, those visibilities are going to be reduced here for the rest of the daylight hours. And yeah, even through the evening, it's going to be pretty bad. So yeah, it's treacherous driving. We're in Schenectady right now. We'll continue going westward and have another live report coming at you in just a little bit. Reporting live with the Mobile Storm Tracker, sponsored by Curtis Lumber. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Greg. Yeah. Well, now we have team coverage still of this winter storm hitting the area today. Crews placed all around the region, of course, to bring you the very latest information.
We want to check in with Lindsay Nielsen now, live from Pittsfield. And Lindsay, how are things going there?
Lisa, it's still coming down here, the snow. We seem to be getting about an inch an hour, possibly. I'm going to do another check. Last check, we were at about 7 inches. I'm going to do a check here now. And it looks like we are up to 8. So really like an inch an hour so far from what I've seen since we've been here from this morning. Now, I also spoke with police, and visibility has been an issue here today. Just kind of like a whiteout condition. Everything is just white, and it's really hard to see and make things out today. So, of course, driving has been difficult even for police. I also spoke with the mayor earlier this morning, and she shared with me, you'll hear here some things she wants the public to know. What's in place right now that people should be aware of?
So I just first want to reassure the people of Pittsfield that we have all of our crews out plowing and sanding and keeping the roads as passable as possible for travel. We would encourage people to limit their travel as much as possible so the plow crews can continue keeping the streets clear. We do have a parking ban in place, which means there's no on-street parking except for North Street.
Now, we also, just after that, speaking with the mayor, they closed City Hall. They shut that down. The employees were all told to leave. And as we, were there speaking with them, they were ready to get out, to get home so that they don't have to drive in this weather. Of course, we stopped by the fire department where we also found Pittsfield police. And again, they were having visibility issues, so the patrol car actually stopped right at the fire department. Now, we will continue to keep you guys updated as we will be here. I have to just say one last thing, because I know you guys in the studio are really warm right now. It is freezing. I don't know what the wind chill is, but I can tell you I can feel it in my fingers to the bone. It is just so cold out here. Well, it looks like we have an emergency vehicle coming down the road here. You guys can see that. That's been happening quite often. I'm hoping we don't have an emergency, but I know they have to get around too, and that has been a concern here. The Pittsfield Fire Department making sure they can get around. And that is another reason why they don't want anyone else out on these roads here. They want that clear for emergency responders and for snowplows. Live in Pittsfield, Lindsay Nielsen, News 10, ABC.
All right, Lindsay, I would stop at the fire department too and get warm if I were you.
Absolutely.
Any place you can.
And a good example of four-wheel drive, so the only ones getting around at any speed out there in this snow. Well, now we have News 10 ABC's Noelle McLaren has been watching I-90 along the thruway where a lot of truckers have had to pull over at a rest stop in Gilderland.
Exit, yes, that's right. Noelle, what's it like out there?
Well, Tim, you mentioned people being able to get around out on the highways, and some of the people who haven't been able to get around and make their deliveries are those tractor trailer drivers. I'm going to give you a look why. Take a look over here. Well, first of all, I'm going to let you look at the trucks out here. There's upwards of 50 tractor trailers who are parked here at the Guilderland rest station off of the New York State Thruway 990. And then I'm going to get a look at the road out here. This is the highway, and you can see visibility only about 100 to 150 feet. My photographer Kenny and I were out on the roads, and actually how we ended up here is we had to pull over just because visibility was so bad at around noon. So that's what kind of conditions people are contending with right now. I did speak with a truck driver who was supposed to be making a very important delivery to our area. Take a listen. How long have you been stranded here?
Since yesterday afternoon, and we were told we were going to shut down today because of the weather coming, and that nothing would be open, so there would be no loads to pick up immediately. So, yeah, don't know when we're leaving.
What do you have in your truck?
Salt.
It's kind of ironic.
Yes. Yes, it is.
All of that salt was supposed to be making its way to Troy. That salt obviously going to have to wait a day or two, but they sure could use it at least here in Guilderland. But for now, we are live at the Guilderland rest stop off the New York State Thruway. Noel McLaren, News 10 ABC.
All right, thank you, Noel. A lot of trucks are holed up there for probably the night. Well, now, even with the harsh winds and flying snow, it didn't stop some daring surfers. Check this out. Video from Long Island today, just off the coast. The blizzard warning was canceled there in and around New York City. Instead of seeing winter weather advisories with snow totals sitting just about 6 inches. And are these guys going to go in the water or not? These surfers just couldn't resist the waves caused by the storm out on Long Beach. And looks like they're just walking the beach. But
right.
Look at the waves behind them.
They're trying to look cool, but they're not really foolish enough to go in there.
Yeah, I think these guys are nuts.
All right, winter weather means winter fun if you've got the right gear. They did have their wetsuits on. A couple of people in New Haven, Connecticut hit the road in their snowmobiles trying to make the best of a messy day. About 2 feet of snow expected in the state, possibly more in higher elevations. And the storm whipping up, right?
Yeah, may need those snowmobiles for an emergency. You never know. The storm also whipping up some extremely strong surf along many parts of the East Coast. Check out this picture. A look from Lynn, Massachusetts, that is just north of Boston, shows strong waves going right up to and over the seawall with snow blowing completely sideways. It isn't enough to stop these brave people from taking a picture or two of the waves crashing in there.
Wow, a lot of risk takers out there in this kind of weather.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back, and Steve and Tim will have the latest on where the storm is headed.
More coverage right after this.
You're watching News 10 ABC. Dedicated, determined, dependable. Dedicated, determined, dependable. This is News 10 ABC.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks to all the spotters keeping us updated. You know, we're zeroing in on exactly who's getting the meat of this storm right now. It's shifted off to the west. Actually, we've updated the snowfall maps a little bit to account for the fact heavy snow has been piling up parts of Schoharie, Montgomery, and Otsego counties.
And we're getting some reports now in from southern Vermont, Wilmington, east of Brattleboro. Check that, Bennington, west of Brattleboro, 11 inches of snow out there.
A little bit of catch up there.
Yep.
You know, I think you'll do better later today and tonight in Wilmington.
Dorset, 8 inches of snow.
All right, not quite as much as what we're seeing here. I mean, no doubt, west and south of Albany has had the heaviest amounts of snow. Sharon Springs, we got a report of 26 inches. Cherry Valley, Grand Gorge, Jefferson, 22.
Way.
And you know, it's still snowing at a good clip. Westerlo at 20. Tim, take the next list. And if you guys come back on us on camera, that would be awesome. Athens, 20.
19 at Amsterdam. Canajoharie, 19 inches of snow. Fonda, 18 inches of snow. At Cherry Plain, 17. Hudson, Glenmont, Hessville, Ghent, 16 at Esperance.
Now, you know, we're picking some of the higher totals, but it seems like around Albany, 14 to 18 inches in the immediate capital region, Rotterdam, Niskayuna, Troy, Albany, and north to Malta, Clifton Park, all in that 14 to 18 inch
and
area.
a little bit more in the Hudson Valley down toward Hudson and
Catskill
Kingston.
and Kingston. You're absolutely right. I want to show you the radar. Just what to expect, and I'm going to show you the updated snowfall map. Tim and I was sitting here for a couple of minutes saying, okay, where do we shift these bands? We kind of expanded things a little bit. Nothing dramatic. I mean, that's the bottom.
What we've been talking about the last couple of hours, what we're going to end up having to do.
And, you know, when you get all this data coming in, literally hundreds of reports, and we thank all of you, we can really fine-tune exactly where we think these bands are. You have to sometimes wait for them to form before you can really pin it down.
It's like we sit back, we look at the radar, but having the webcams and having your reports help us interpret what's going on with Mother Nature.
Look at this, Tim. Piseco to Little Falls to Oneonta. That band, do you remember where that band started, like around lunchtime?
Yeah.
It was like here.
Right before noon.
And then it shifted up over us. Then it went like that. And now it's in here. So it's been moving quite a bit over the last couple of hours.
Fall rates we promised, 2 to 4 inches per hour, and it has verified.
Now this is a bit of a dry slot, what you see here. So the lighter blue represents accumulating snow. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's just not what it was. But this is 1/4 to 1/2 inch per hour. Steady light snow, fine snow, a little enhancement.
Minus this area down there.
Yeah, a little enhancement. Let me put the loop on here, Tim, and we'll get a... Okay, you can see how it's kind of rotating up.
Notice back toward northeast Pennsylvania, though.
Yeah, this is going to rotate through. I mean, the circulation centers like this. Tim's picking up that circulation back towards Binghamton.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, let me switch over to the Binghamton radar.
That should extend back.
Okay, now you can get another feel for it. See that comma head?
There's a little
That's I think that's actually, Tim, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably the upper level energy.
Yeah.
That still has to kind of translate across us during this afternoon and evening. And then they all kind of meet, and that's when that big storm takes off. So this is the comma head, the backlash that will eventually, I think, start to pivot through later this afternoon. And this will be the additional snow on the snow that we have right now. The models do show that.
Yeah, back in here, I was looking to see if it was upstairs or mid-levels.
Yeah, we're looking at some of the computer data coming in. Hard to say if it's going to... I think it might rotate up through.
Yeah.
Get pretty close to us late this afternoon.
The guidance is taking that upper level feature and taking it from here towards southern Vermont. So that should end up sweeping right through.
Right, so there's going to be the lull and then a little bit more enhancement coming in during this evening. All right, want to share with you the updated snowfall map, and Tim and I will kind of explain what we've tweaked. And again, we don't want to make it sound like you guys are changing your snow map, because we're not.
In a storm like this, as you talked about last night, a number of times, you don't put these types of numbers out often.
No, this is very rare that you put these kind of numbers off. No, you're absolutely right. So we kept the basic 18 to 24.
Yeah.
But what did we do? We shifted everything west about 20 miles, 30 miles.
Exactly, especially in this area. This has been the jackpot thus far.
So now we have a large area. Southern hill towns of Montgomery County, right through Schoharie, hill towns of Albany County, Western Greene, eastern Delaware, parts of Ulster, Ashokan Reservoir west. In this area, 24 to 36 inches of snow, Tim.
Into the Helderbergs, and then some of you are lagging behind a little bit comparative to what's to the west.
What we have in here is probably 8 to 12 inches of snow, maybe a few spots, a bit more in the Berkshires. Now remember, the storm has to take longer to get by you eventually, and then you'll have the upslope snows late tonight and tomorrow to enhance the snow in Vermont and the Berkshires.
Second phase of the storm.
Right, and that tends not to be quite as much here as it is for those of you east of the Hudson River that have elevation. Winds are going to be howling.
They're picking up as we speak.
They're picking up right now. There's going to be blowing and drifting snow. Even with the lighter snow, we have poor visibility. And that was an issue up in Glens Falls earlier when we went up there, and we could see the wind was really picking up.
That was during the lunch hour with Sam Damasio. Carmen Chow has taken over. She is in downtown Glens Falls on Glen Street. Let's head up that way to see how the snow continues to fall and how that wind is blowing.
I bet it's blowing hard up there. Carmen?
It certainly is. You can even see the wind gusts blowing the ice and snow around, but this time we actually moved a little further away from downtown. We're standing in the parking lot of Rite Aid, as you can see, which is actually just one of the few businesses still open in Glens Falls. Now, earlier we drove around to different spots where everywhere you can just see is quiet. We only saw a couple of businesses open, but even then, when we walked into one of them, the manager said they decided to close after all because of how dangerous it is out here. Now, if you live in Glens Falls, you may have seen or heard the snowplow trucks moving along, but at how fast the storm is moving, it's been very tough for crews to keep up with. But like I said before, these wind gusts here are unbelievable. You can see it's blowing the ice and snow around, which makes it feel even colder than it actually is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hop back in the car. My photographer and I are going to drive around to different areas to see what it's like. But I'm going to have them pan down just to see the accumulations of the snow. You can see it's slowly reaching up to my knees. So this storm is not calming down anytime soon. Live in Glens Falls, Carmen Chow, News 10 ABC.
Thanks so much, Carmen. Well, News 10 ABC's Andrew Banis is also keeping an eye on the latest conditions. He's down in Hudson.
All right, last time we checked in with Andrew, he was shoveling snow. Let's see what kind of progress he's made. Andrew, you making any progress on your snow shoveling there, buddy?
No.
No.
No progress, my friend. No, I think I pulled a back muscle. That's about it. Take a look over this way here. I'm not responsible for that sidewalk, which looks great. That person right there has been working hard, making sure that sidewalk is shoveled. But look around all over here, and you can see it's really coming down here in Hudson. State of emergency in Columbia County. You can see why the roads are a mess. Last we checked, 17 inches, and that was about an hour ago, so it's probably even more than that. But you know what? People are embracing this. They are excited about the snow. I have two friends here. They're actually visiting from Norway, and today you guys actually, instead of staying inside this hotel, you got out and hopped on your bikes. Tell me about that.
Yes, why not try bicycle riding in the snow? We do that in Norway, but here it was pretty hard. We have to pull the bikes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of snow in the street, so we saw some people that need help to pull the cars out, so we helped them and earned some money. It's very interesting.
Oh, there you go. See, look at that. You made some profit today on this. That's an entrepreneur right there for sure. What do you think, my friend? You like the snow here?
Yes, I like the snow. It's the same as in Norway.
Yeah, but it's like being home.
Yes, I like being home. Yes.
But you think it was 78 degrees about 2 weeks ago?
No, I don't believe that. I think it was about 8 degrees. It's the normal temperature in the...
Yeah. Well, you know what? I love that you guys took advantage and enjoyed the day.
All right, we seem to be having a problem. That's too bad, but Andrew happens to run into two people visiting from Norway who are, of course, out helping everybody because this is just no big deal to them, right?
They must feel right at home.
That's right. Many people are following the advice to stay off the roads during today's winter storm. That's evident in Washington, D.C., where this one driver had the road to himself 4 miles at a time in an area that's normally packed during the day. The storm seems to have moved out of the mid-Atlantic, though, but travel does remain in effect. Travel bans in many areas up and down the East Coast. And look, you could see everybody pretty much listened. A 60-foot pine tree crashed onto the roof of a house in eastern Massachusetts during today's storm. Take a look at this. The family, fortunately, was downstairs when the tree hit their 2-story home in Hingham. That's just outside of Boston. What a shame. It broke through the roof above a toddler's bedroom with branches landing in the crib, they said. Other branches snapped off and landed in the front yard. The trunk remained leaning against the structure. Officials are now assessing the damage to determine how to safely remove the tree and to see if the house is structurally sound.
Close call there.
That was really close. Well, snow did fall hard and fast during the morning commute in Chicago as well.
Yes, a lot of spin-outs and crashes reported there, and up to 2-hour travel delays on the highway. Again, this is in Chicago.
There were a lot of people opting for a train ride in the morning. No major delays during the rush hour, but buses, on the other hand, could only go as fast as the traffic would allow. So a lot of folks on foot.
All right, now back here in Albany, cities and towns all over the capital region are having their hands full right now and in the next few days to plow and remove this snow from the streets and the sidewalks.
Earlier today, Albany Mayor Kathy Sheehan held a news conference about the city's efforts to plow the streets.
We are working to continue to move the snow, but this is going to be a long and arduous day for everybody. We have declared a snow emergency. In the city of Albany, a snow emergency cannot take effect until after the snow stops falling. We declare snow emergencies so that we can actually come in with dump trucks and remove the snow from the streets as it piles up, because we just don't have the capacity to push it back when we get this much snow. So we will be clearing the streets. It'll start at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. So at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, we will have the lots cleared for people to move their cars to, and the cars need to be off of the odd side of the road. People need to park on the even-numbered street. Side of the street. We have conflict streets. Those are listed. You can access them on our website. They'll also be posted. But for now, people need to stay off the roads, and as much as possible. It's going to continue to snow through tonight, and we will begin to try to clear the snow at 8 p.m. on, as I said, on Wednesday. So if people have any questions, happy to answer.
Services?
Right now, only essential city employees are in for work. We've closed City Hall. We've closed all city buildings, and we only have our essential workforce in place. So stay home. Today is not the day to go to City Hall to transact business, and we expect to be reopened tomorrow.
Are you bracing for another massive wave of non-compliance like the last snow emergency?
Well, we hope that we get compliance. You know, we are getting the word out now plenty of time in advance. We are urging people to heed the rules. It's very clear. It's 24 hours. So from 8 p.m. on Wednesday to 8 p.m. on Thursday, you need to be parked on the even side of the street. And then from 8 p.m. on Thursday to 8 p.m. on Friday, you need to be on the odd side of the street. And that compliance is needed for that full 24 hours. Even if it looks like a side of the street has been cleared, we may have to be going in to remove snowbanks to make it safer for pedestrians and really make sure that we're clearing snow out. So it's important that you give us that 24 hours to do it.
Yes, there's the mayor, but also remember, that doesn't begin until 8 o'clock tonight. So
no, tomorrow night.
I'm sorry, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Wednesday night. So you certainly
Until then, they just don't want you to move because there's just no place to go,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of snow, and as they said, not a lot of places to put it.
Yes, 8 tomorrow night. Thank you.
That's right. All right, back with much more blizzard coverage after this, but first, a check of the roads.
You're watching News 10 ABC. Dedicated, determined, dependable.